Hi, thanks a lot for being here. My name is Iago Paris, and the title of my presentation is In Search of a Queer Female Gaze, Carol and Female Scopophilia. So, to introduce my research, I intend to analyze the woman's film, which is a subgenre of melodrama, and how it develops the idea of the female gaze. Then to connect how this happens in the case of Todd Haynes, a director who has constantly reflected on melodrama. And then to go through the idea of scopophilia, usually attached to male gaze, to try to challenge this assumption. So the hypothesis of this research is that the film Carol works as a postmodern reformulation of the woman's film, where scopophilia appears as female and queer, detached from patriarchal assumptions. And in order to prove that, my goals are to demonstrate that the claims on Todd Haynes' work in Carol are true, and through that to challenge essentialist ideas on the idea of the male gaze. The methodology used for that would be a qualitative, descriptive, textual analysis of key scenes of the film, where the emphasis will be put on diegetic and extra diegetic uses of cameras and the pictures taken with them as signifying objects. So first of all, it would be fundamental to expose the theory behind this research. This is split into two. On the one hand, we have the feminist studies, and more specifically the idea of the gaze, how it has been traditionally attached to patriarchy, and how scopophilia has been understood as male-based. Of course, Laura Mulvey will be the point of departure, but many others scholars have claimed this, while at the same time other scholars have understood these claims as essentialist assumptions and have questioned the appropriateness of the gaze as entirely male-centric and patriarchal. So this will be the authors that I will use as the point of departure for my research. In the case of melodrama theory, it's important to point out that melodrama has focused on female reality, thus offering the female point of view and allowing for female desire to appear, especially in the case of the woman's film, which is something that other genres don't really do as often as in the melodrama case. There are certain key theoretical ideas that are related to melodrama, such as the impossible fulfillment. A melodrama talks about a repressive society where certain individuals cannot obtain what they want. In the case of Carol, to have a normal, open lesbian relationship. As a result, these ideas become taboos, and the way to expose them is not through talking because they are taboos. So the text of muteness appears, which is several other ways these ideas are conveyed through non-verbal language, such as, for example, in this case, the way the characters look at each other. And especially the way the objects become carriers of meaning that are more real than people's interactions, because since they are mediated by this taboo, the objects tell more about the characters than what they actually speak. And the third concept would be the tableau, which is certain moments of narration when narration stops because the emotion is so intense that the frame kind of freezes and we take our time to experience with the character all the emotions that they are experiencing, again, that cannot be verbalized. So going straight into the analysis, the first key point would be the diegetic camera, which is the camera that the protagonist Therese uses. She would like to become a professional photographer, so she's trying to find her own voice, but she's kind of lost, mostly because she doesn't really know what she wants, and this also allows to her romantic sphere of her life. She tries to find herself through what she's taking pictures at, and this starts to change when she meets Carol, that little by little becomes her object of interest and of desire. There's a key point in this process, which is the moment when Carol gives her a professional camera. So Therese starts to develop a special relationship with this camera that allows her to picture Carol, and this way this new professional camera becomes a metaphor for the special relationship between these two characters. So this new professional camera can be understood as a catalyst for developing her queer agency. Then it comes the photographs that have been taken by these two cameras, and we have the different evolutional emotional stages that the series has. On the one hand, we have the initial pictures that she takes that reflect a passive, impersonal character with no focus on her passion, which would be, as she will eventually discover, women through Scopophilia. So all in all, her pictures lack emotion. This changes once she meets Carol, because she becomes an active, desire-driven character who is capable of exploring her scopophilic desire, and as a result, her pictures become strongly emotional. And the last one would be the extradiegetic camera, which would be Todd Haynes' cinematographic camera and the way he uses it. Through framing, he is constantly putting Carol in the center of the frame as the object of desire. The film is called Carol, but she's not the protagonist. She's the object of desire of the protagonist, which is Therese. And also through point of view shots, and in this case it would be crucial to read the last scene where there's a imbalance in the point of view shot. Here we have an almost subjective point of view shot, which is showing what Carol is watching, but here this is an actual subjective shot. Carol is looking directly to the camera lens, and this is representing 100% what Therese is watching. So here the film crystallizes as Therese's point of view, female queer gaze, female scopophilic desire. So in a postmodern emphatic way, the camera becomes a signifying object as well. So the results obtained can allow us to claim that here, if melodrama talks about female reality and about, as a result, about female desire, then the camera is about female gaze and female desire. Thus, the camera represents scopophilic female desire. So the diegetic camera works as a postmodern reformulation of the woman's film scopophilic female desire, which has been normally present in this type of films. In the case of the photograph, the photographs are the representation of this homosexual desire that Therese feels, but since it is a taboo in 1950s America, then they become text of muteness. So the role of the photograph in this case works as a classical usage of the signifying objects. It basically represents what cannot be spoken out loud. And regarding Todd Haynes' camera through framing and subjective shots, the extradiegetic camera represents Therese's point of view, so it represents Therese's female desiring gaze, female queer scopophilia, and at the end of the film it becomes a postmodern tool, like a signifying object, but in an explicit way, breaking the fourth wall and emphasizing something that cannot be said out loud, as we have explained here in this last scene. So the conclusions of this research is that Carol is of course a melodrama, where the impossible fulfillment classical of melodrama is explored, and it puts a lot of emphasis in the idea of the text of muteness through using signifying objects. These are the two types of cameras and the photographs. The cameras offer Therese's female queer gaze, and the photographs expose Therese's emotional evolution on what her object of desire is. So all in all, we could claim that the film Carol works as a postmodern reformulation of the melodrama tradition, and more concretely of the woman's film. And by doing that through these objects and through the uses of the framing and the point of view shots, it challenges the essentialist ideas on the gaze by proposing that a queer female gaze through scopophilia can be possible. And also it is crucial to understand another essentialist idea, is that this film was made by a homosexual male who by no means would be interested in turning women into objects of desire, so the film wouldn't become a male fantasy. So all in all, Carol challenges essentialist ideas on film studies, on feminist studies that tend to question the validity of scopophilia and the possibility of having a healthy representation of scopophilia, which is not patriarchal, which is not oppressive. So that would be all. I'm leaving here the most important sources that I have used throughout this research in case you would like to check them out. And that would be all. Thanks a lot for watching.